Hello, and welcome to the actual install of the Caseta switches that I talked about last week. So if I don't describe exactly what all's going on here, they are all described last week. Now, before we start, let me apologize for the lighting situation because I'm going to have to turn breakers off. So I'm doing natural light and it's kind of an overcast day. So even with my skylights, it may be a little grainy because I don't really have enough light, but you're gonna have to deal with it. So, rule number one, turn on all of these switches that you are going to be using. Because in step two, we're gonna turn the breaker off and we wanna make sure that everything that's on right now, well here. So we have that can light up there, and the ceiling fan and the overhead light up there. And that's what these three switches are controlling. So I am now going to go hit the breaker. Oh, on the way, hold on, we'll stop over here. There's actually one more switch. See, there's another set of can lights over here that, and this is also, well, here, I'll show you. That is the three-way switch for the overhead. So we're going to go turn off the breakers for all of these things. Okay, so now we're at the breaker box. And you may be saying, well, wait, it looks like you're in a closet. Because I am in a closet. Because my breaker box, the electricity comes into my house at the far end of the house from the garage. Usually this breaker box will be in your garage. Mine is in the closet of my office, a place that you have often seen. Okay, I have previously come in here, and if you notice, I've written LROH, living room overhead. So now I've turned those off. So as we come back in here, you will see that, in fact, all the lights are off, and so now we're back to the bad lighting situation that I said we were going to be in. By the way, I don't even like to take the wall plate off until the breaker's off. Because you never know if there's a short in there that's maybe touching something. So you never know what metal could have electricity going through it if the breaker's on. By the way, if you're, the reason I said you have to turn all the switches on and make sure they're all off is because I was once replacing some switches, and it was a three gang, much like this right here, had three switches. Well, it turned out that one breaker did the outside two switches, but the inside switch was a separate breaker that I did not throw, and I got quite the surprise when I stuck my hand into the switch box behind here and hit a live wire. By the way, it typically will not kill you, but it's not terribly pleasant getting 110, 120 volts run through your body. Anyway. So here are, oh man, this is an ugly wall plate. Now here are our switches. Oh, now we see the outside switches were flatheads. These are Phillips heads. So I like to work these away. By the way, almost all switches, including Casetas, come with these screws that I'm taking out right here. So don't worry if you screw these up or if anything goes wrong, because you do have extras down here. So this is the old school dimmer. Let me take out the next one over. This is the switch, and aren't they filthy? By the way, well, it's been in here since the 90s. So this is a 30-year-old switch. This is a simple switch. Power on, power off. This is for the ceiling fan. it just has the 2 wires. This is the switch. You'll notice it has a pile of wires. The green is ground, which, by the way, here, for a fun time, notice there is no ground. There's no bare copper wire or green wire coming. This switch is not grounded, which means, again, if there had been power here, God knows what could have happened inside here. So we're going to replace this switch with this switch. The instructions say neutral wire required. That's this white wire. For that wire is behind all the other wires. So getting that out is going to be exciting. So here are my 2 wires for the fan overhead switch. And the instructions say that I'm supposed to attach this red wire to the load and this black wire to the live. And you might say to yourself, but they're both black coming out of the wall. How do you know which is which? Well, it's kind of easy. If you look here, if you'll notice, this wire goes in here and is linked up to 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 other wires. A load wire is the wire that goes to the light and only to the light. So if this is tied into 4 other wires, this is the live wire. This is the hot wire. This is the one the electricity comes on. This one over here by itself that goes up and goes off, goes up somewhere, that's the load wire. So that's the one I attach to the red. But it gets more complicated. I'm also then supposed to attach the green wire to the ground over here. Wait, and more fun, they want the white wire attached to the neutral wires back here. Okay, this is clearly, again, the live wire because it's linked in with this other live wire. So we can disconnect it. This is the load wire for the can light. This green wire is, now this one, this one was in fact grounded. So we're good on that. By the way, you may be wondering, why am I taking everything out before I start putting things back in? Well, it's because, see, I need to get this, the neutral wire bundle, which is capped, it's behind all the other wires. And I need to pull it out so that I can attach this. So I can't connect this until I can get to that. And the only way I'm going to get to that is to take all these wires out. Where I'm putting the bracket to hold the remote for the 3-way. So these wires are not going to be connected to anything. This is a 3-way switch. So you'll notice it has a gold screw and a silver screw on this side and a silver screw on this side. So silver and silver. So the gold screw is the traveler wire. Just so you know, when they have just put the wire into the hole rather than wrapped it around the screw, these are the hardest ones to get out. Because when they're wrapped around the screw, you just unscrew the screw and they come loose. This, not so much. I can get the neutral wires loose. Okay. So that's the traveler. These are the centers. Load and live. Live and load over here. So this is live or line, and this is load here. By the way, constantly check. Okay, see, this is right side up. So make sure, because it's going to go in right side up. So hot or live goes to here, and then we screw this cap down on there. We still have a blue and a white. Now the white, as I told you, goes to the neutral wire. That is this bunch of white wires down here. And you may be saying to yourself, what the hell is the blue wire for? Well, the blue wire is not for anything. So we're just going to cap it off so that it won't accidentally touch anything. and cause any kind of short circuits or any of that kind of nonsense. We will cap you off. By the way, that switch was not grounded either. Remember, this was 1993, so maybe the code enforcement wasn't as good as it is now, or I don't know. By the way, they go to great lengths to tell you to make sure that this wire can be identified from these two wires, and then tells you, well, now just put them all together and cap them off in one bundle. I don't understand, but I'm going to follow the instructions because that's what it says to do. But in Ghostbusters terms, I feel like I'm crossing the streams because I'm putting a line, a load, and a traveler, and I'm linking them all together. But it's what it says to do. Well, let's put the dimmer on next. So you have two black wires attaching to two black wires, which seems like you wouldn't know what was going on, but okay. See, this ground wire, it's a big bunch of copper wires looped together, and they are not really bendy. So they're going to stay where they are. So you're trying to get these other guys to bend around them, and that can be, there we go. As you can see, the hardest part is shoving all these wires back in there. That's really why they pay the electricians the big bucks. By the way, these little base screws that I'm taking out right now, I do not ever need again. So these are the ones that I will not drop and will not lose under any circumstances because I don't need them. Now, the ones I am putting in that I do need, those are going to be all over the floor, and I'm not going to be able to, they're going to drop behind things, and that's just, it's Murphy's Law in action. I prepared the dimmers. See, now in here we have two of them, so I had to take these things off the edges. So I did that, so they'll line up, which by the way meant this becomes this one, which is the three-way for over there, and this is the can light dimmer, replacing this cheapo dimmer from the 1990s. Maybe 2000. I'm thinking it was here when the house was built, which was 1993, I think. Okay, so this one's pretty easy, going to be easy to deal with. Now this one, again, is part of the three-way, so there are traveler wires involved. Now remember, on the other end, we tied off the traveler wires so that basically they're just sending, those wires are just sending line back over here through the traveler wires as I best understand it, which is not a lot. I mean, like I said, I've been working with electrical since 1968. So, because I was in theater, I was a drama major, and I worked with lighting. So I started working with lighting in the late 60s. So I've been fooling around with electricity since the 60s, so I kind of know what I'm doing. More than I know about cars, about engines, that's for sure. And those of you who've watched my car videos go, well, that explains a lot. So why was the white wire important that it went to a different screw color? Well, that's because that means on this dimmer here, which is going to be on the left side, the white wire gets its own wire, whereas the black and red wires, so both of these wires get screwed onto there, and then the green will go to the ground, which is right there, and I will do that. So now we have both of these guys grounded, and we can shove that back up in there. We've got this guy connected up correctly. Now let's connect this guy up correctly. So now we're going to shove these guys back up in there and put them here and put him there. Tell me you're going to fit. Okay, you fit over here. You need to come this way. Why don't we do that? Okay. Okay. Now, okay, this one's a little, I'm saying I'm calling it a success. Now we have to repeat this process over on this side. Okay, still not perfect. This guy's a little out of line, but I'm going to live with it. Now, so to pair this dimmer with the remote, you hold the off button for 6 seconds. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Then you come over and hold the off button on the remote, also for 6 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the light dims. There we go. So we're in my wiring closet. As you can see, well, let me pan up a little. Those are where the Ethernet cables go all over my house. And the thing that looks like Kylo Ren's ship there in the foreground is, that's my main router, which, by the way, is all full up. So in order to install this little smart bridge, I'm going to plug this in to this switch. Now, according to the manual, the smart bridge, well, you saw the white light come on around. There we go. Well, no. There we go. According to the instructions, this is supposed to last a while it's basically going on the internet and downloading firmware updates and all that stuff. And it says if it does not go through this phase, then it's not going to work. So apparently it's going through this phase, but this is going to take a while, so you're not going to watch all this. Okay, well, it says once it remains solid, that looks solid, it's not turning, that it's done. So let's go back to the other room. You saw me setting up the bridge. It did not go well. Well, I mean, that part went, I just plug, you plug it into your router and you plug it into the wall and that's all you need to do. But when I came back in the living room here to use the app kept saying it couldn't find the bridge. Are you on the right network? Blah, blah, blah. So finally I clicked it. There was an advanced button. So I clicked on advanced. It said, well, enter the IP address of your bridge. Well, fortunately, I have a Nighthawk router. Well, you saw, that's the thing that looks like Kylo Ren's spaceship. So I logged on using the Nighthawk app and was able to find out what the IP address was for it said Lutron, blah, blah, and under like type it said IoT, Internet of Things. So it even knew what it was. The Nighthawk's a pretty smart router. Well, anyway, so I then entered that IP address in, and then it found the router, and I was able to go ahead and set up the app. I set up all the lights with, I set up devices. They call them devices. So I set up my devices, which are the fan lights, the fan, that can light, and those two can lights. Now, by the way, you have to pick, so I said living room, and this says, what are they? Well, these two over here, I call the two of them over there, I called sconces, and this one I called a spotlight because it kind of is a spotlight onto the painting over the fireplace. And then I called this the living room, the overhead, the ceiling fan and ceiling fan lights. Then I set up scenes so that I can just hit a button in the app and turn. So basically, like I said, I will never turn these on, the can lights, with the switch. So the fact that it goes to full when you hit the switch and you can't go back to where you dimmed, irrelevant. I'll never touch that switch again. Because first I set up a scene where I could bring it up to dimmed where I like it. So I set the scenes up, the scenes. Then I saw the schedule. I said, ooh, schedule. So I hit schedule, and it said, what days do you want to do this? And I said, every day. And then it said, what time? And it gives, you can pick the time. But one of the choices, the choices all the time were also sunrise and sunset, and then offset. So like I talked about in my last video, the software for the Mac that would do that. Well, now it's in the app, the Lutron app, I told it an hour before sunset, turn these can lights on at the dimmed level that I like. So basically, I will never have to remember to turn them on ever again. It just, before it gets dark, right about an hour before it gets dark, they'll come on and they'll stay on. Now you say, well, you could set a schedule, but I go to bed at different times. So I set up a scene called bedtime. And when I hit that button on the app, it turns off all the Lutron lights. They'll just turn, when I just hit the button, they'll turn off. So I am pretty happy so far. Now, next time I see you, I may have put in more. I may make another video. It depends on what I do. If I just put in more of these kind of switches, I'm not going to make another video because y'all saw how to do this. But if I do something that's different or unusual or that y'all haven't seen before, then I will make another video about it. And eventually I'll try to figure out a way to capture my iPad or iPhone screen to video so that I can show you how the app, well, you'll figure that out. Anyway, I'm very, very happy now. Very happy. I've taken my first baby step towards a smart home. The lights that I need to come on every night, because this is the room I spend most of my time in, because, well, as you can see, big TV. By the way, there'll be a video coming. I'm replacing this TV with a better one. So there'll be a video about that. But I'm having it professionally installed, so it won't be like an unboxing kind of, you'll see. So that's coming. So we don't know what's coming next week. Tune in and find out. So hope you enjoyed me fumbling around, making a fool of myself. By the way, they're a little off center, but you know, I'll live with it. I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Bye-bye.